Before Wrath, all priests had racial spells in addition to their baseline racials, but some of them were turned into baseline priest spells and others were removed. For example, Undead had Devouring Plague, Dwarfs and Draenei had Chastise, which later became Holy War Chastise, and Draenei alone had Symbol of Hope, which became Hymn of Hope. Paladin Blessings lasted 5 minutes, so by the time you buffed 40 raid members, the first ones you buffed would have had 2 to 3 minutes left on their blessings. So paladins were essentially just rebuffing the raid all the time. In Alpha, there was a profession called Survival Skills. It was used for making campfires, which can now be made with cooking, and torches. Those torches were used for scouting. Back then, the graphic engine was a bit different. Darker areas, such as Duskwood, were really dark, and you couldn't see anything past 20 to 30 yards in front of you. Torches were used to increase visibility in those darker areas. Many NPCs in Duskwood still hold torches in their hands. Warlocks were able to summon people off cliffs, and mages were able to CC people underwater and make them drown. Blizzard used to balance raids around classes having restricted roles. Only warriors could tank, priests were by far the best healers, druids were there to innervate the priests, shamans were used mostly as out-of-combat rezzers, and paladins were usually busy rebuffing the raid. Druids, paladins, and warlocks had no viable DPS spec at all. A few patches into vanilla, warlocks were made playable though. There were bosses that were completely immune to some schools of magic, and poisons. Mages had to raid Molten Core with Frostback, and rogues lost quite a bit of DPS on poison-immune bosses. Some raid additions, such as /raid warning and the ability to mark mobs and threat meters, were originally only available with specific add-ons before Blizzard added them into the game themselves. In beta, shamans and priests were the classes that had combat resurrection spells instead of druids. It was given to druids because shamans were a horde-only class and removed from priests because they were already the best healers, and it would give druids utility outside of Innervate. Hunters in the Burning Crusade could macro their entire rotation onto one button, and could bind it to a mouse scroll. I should also mention that Destruction Warlock rotation in the Burning Crusade consisted of just spamming Shadow Bolt and nothing else. The word min-maxing pretty much didn't exist in vanilla raiding, and most classes didn't have a DPS rotation to speak of. Hunters would use 3 shots and go then either feign death to drink or auto-attack, which they spent most of their time doing anyway. Also, during raid fights, as long as you didn't touch the boss, get hit by an ability, or heal someone in combat, you were considered not in combat. That's why hunters could drink mid-raid, and most raids made a healer stay out of combat the whole fight just to res people who died.